Hey, Raj Martin here from Billings, Montana. This is Corsi, and he says that Donald Trump is about to arrest Obama and Clinton.
Kind of speculation. There's all these sealed indictments from the Mueller investigation, and there's been kind of speculation that Mueller might not be the shill that people thought he was, and there might be indictments of Democrats in that pile of indictments. Do you think there's any truth to that, and they're just laying the groundwork? And if so, when do they start opening those and putting people in handcuffs?
Well, I think Mueller is really not indicting Democrats. I think Mueller is a political operative, and I think he's
Okay.
out of gas. I don't think there's any possible way that this Russian collusion can now be proved. If all Mueller has is, 13 wacky Russians that posted some things on social media the Justice Department said did not impact the election, and there was no collusion with Trump or his campaign, uh, Mueller is done. These, I think, sealed indictments mostly are not related. I think most of them have to deal with human trafficking.
No, he says Mueller's done, and he's not the only one. It's just a matter of time before Mueller is off the scene and maybe indicted himself if all these sources are converging uh, on different people that are targeted for indictments. Mueller is definitely one of them.
And MS-13, but there may be some in there that I'll go back.
Now, remember the laws that were passed by Trump through presidential authority on human trafficking. That was set up so these indictments could be handed out and people's funds and resources could be taken financially. So they can take those funds and resources and prosecute them as well.
Back to the new, we found out recently, the outside prosecutor that Sessions has brought into the fold, this John Huber in Utah, who is teamed with the Inspector General, David Horowitz at the Department of Justice. Horowitz has 470 investigators, and now that investigation can proceed to criminal indictments. So I suspect the counterattack has begun, and we are going to see criminal indictments in the Department of Justice and the FBI. That's where it will start at very high levels.
So when you say high levels, you
Now, he's going to say Clinton and Obama as well. But what about Rosenstein? What about Mueller? What about the FBI, previous FBI director Comey? All these individuals and more.
kind of reference Barack Obama. Could it really go that high? I know
Yeah.
that Eric Holder should be looked into, obviously, but all the way up to Barack, huh?
Well, see, what happened is that, first of all, this cabal within the Justice Department and the FBI, including Andrew McCabe, who's been fired in disgrace. He was deputy director of the FBI. They've used this Fusion GPS dossier, which partly was paid for by Hillary Clinton, opposition research. Now, Comey told under oath Congress that he thought this was a pack of lies and could not be validated by the FBI, but yet Comey put his signature on at least three FISA court applications to use that document in part as a justification for electronic surveillance of U.S. citizens who were part of the Trump campaign. Now, that's very serious. And one or the other of those are violations now of criminal violations, either lying to Congress or misrepresenting documents to a judicial official. And those results of that electronic surveillance were brought into the White House. Valerie Jarrett unmasked the names and leaked them to the press
Yeah.
during the campaign and after.
So Laurie Jarrett should be in there too. Anyhow, this goes throughout top officials in the DOJ, in the administration Obama, and in the administration even into Bush as well, and even into the administrations of Clinton.
after the campaign. Those are likely crimes, and I can't imagine that Barack Obama was unaware or didn't approve of this. So I think you've got high crimes and misdemeanors reaching right into the Obama White House, and Donald Trump's fully aware of it because he tweeted out that he was under electronic surveillance by Obama. And initially when he said that, of course, the mainstream media ridiculed Trump, but we now know it's very true.
Well, yeah, I mean, the mainstream media is just going to say that whatever happens is just a distraction from the Russian investigation anyway. I mean, it's not like the mainstream media is going to go along with this.
No, and look, the New York Times, my book is, should have been on the New York Times bestseller list. It made the best-selling list in Barnes & Noble's, BookScan, Publishers Weekly. But the New York Times, the leftists and the communists of the New York Times don't want my book read. They don't want anybody to read Killing the Deep State, so they blocked it. It should have been number 4 on the New York Times bestseller list. It's going to be one of the best-selling books in the entire Trump presidency. It reached number 1 in Amazon first day of sales, but I don't expect I'm ever going to get an interview from ABC, NBC, or CBS, or the New York Times or the Washington Post. They're so deadly opposed and locked into their hate Trump agenda that they're going to do everything they can to make sure nobody in the country knows about or reads Killing the Deep State. It's why I'm deeply appreciative, Josh, of having the opportunity to be interviewed by you today.
Oh, absolutely, and it's an honor having you on. And when we look at this, do you think it's all rooted out, or is this like a really bad cavity and it goes all the way back to the roots? Like how deep is this?
What I show you as you read, I build a compelling case in Killing the Deep State that Barack Obama is still secretly working behind the scenes.
Ooh.
To oust President Trump. He's like the wizard, behind the screen in The Wizard of Oz.
That
He's
is
got a couple of key operatives like Valerie Jarrett, and they're still working day and night to undermine the Trump administration.
That's a great place to take a pause. We'll be right back with Jerome Corsi after this.
Still doing his stuff. I don't doubt it. Obama needs to be called on it and set up for his treasonous acts.
Killing the Deep State, and it's actually climbing the charts as we're doing this interview. I'm refreshing the Amazon ranking, so well done, sir. So before the break, you mentioned that Barack Obama's kind of pulling the strings behind this. Is he really the top of this cabal, or was somebody just pulling his strings when he was in office?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, when you read Killing the Deep State, I think you're going to be shocked about how many deep connections there are between people like George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and yes, even the special prosecutor Robert Mueller. These people have been working together for a long time. And, on the hard left, I'm increasingly calling it the hard left, where the Democratic Party,
quote unquote, these people have been working together for a long time.
All right, we are talking to Dr. Jerome Corsi. He is the author of the book Killing the Deep State, and it's actually climbing the charts as we're doing this interview. I'm refreshing the Amazon ranking, so well done, sir. So before the break, you mentioned that Barack Obama's kind of pulling the strings behind this. Is he really the top of this cabal, or was somebody just pulling his strings when he was in office?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, when you read Killing the Deep State, I think you're going to be shocked about how many deep connections there are between people like George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and yes, even the special prosecutor Robert Mueller.
So there are a lot of connections between these two individuals, these 4 individuals. A lot of connections. They're all going down one way or another.
People have been working together for a long time. And, on the hard left, I'm increasingly calling it the hard left, where the Democratic Party, I read a whole chapter showing it now that it's headed by Tom Perez, who's a La Raza lawyer, and Keith Ellison, deputy of the director of the Democratic National Committee, who is now we know Black Panther as well as a black Muslim. This is off the cliff. This is not the party of Jack Kennedy or Hubert Humphrey. This is a the Democrats today are what in Europe would be considered as Democratic Socialist or Democratic Communist Party.
So when do we start seeing arrests?
I think from what we've learned this week and last week, at the end of the week, on this John Huber, the counterattack, as I write in, in Killing the Deep State, the counterattack is going to start now. Trump is going to turn the tables. I think Mueller is done. I don't think Mueller has a case against Trump. He certainly has not indicted anybody in collusion, and obstruction is going to be very, very tough to prove, because the presidency has enormous powers, including the ability to fire Comey. And Comey should have been fired. I mean, Comey's out there now doing a book tour, and of course, the mainstream media, they published Comey's book right on top of mine, another way to try to prevent Killing the Deep State from being read by anybody. But Comey lied either to Congress when he said this fusion GPS was all fiction, or he, misrepresented it to the court when he signed 3 times the FISA court application using that fusion GPS document in part as the reason to do electronic surveillance of Donald Trump's campaign. So you've got, deep criminality here. And I think John Huber, together with the Inspector General, are going to begin grand jury processes that may already have started. And I think indictments will begin relatively soon. This month, I think we're going to see the Inspector General's report in April, and that's going to be possibly leading to a special prosecutor in addition to John Huber. I caution people in the book that the Trump counterattack, while it's going to succeed, and there are going to be crimes found in what this cabal and the deep state did in a coup d'etat, serious crimes, extending, I think, all the way up to President Obama and Hillary on treason charges that may require military tribunals. I don't think Donald Trump will hesitate to bring them about. It's going to take more than a year. It's going to be unfolding, and this whole next year or two are going to be the story of the Trump counterattack, and you're going to see the real Russian collusion, the real...
So Corsi says that this is going to take a year or 2 or longer. So we're going to have to really be patient on this stuff. And knowing how slow our justice system is, he's probably absolutely right.
Undermining of the election, the real treasonous campaign and coup d'etat to remove Donald Trump from office, all centers around the deep state and the Democrats.
Why did we not see any charges against the DNC, Hillary's campaign, prior to even the election? Because one of the things that confused me was you had organizations on tape admitting that they were paying for the violence outside of events. They were paying for the blocked highways in Arizona. If you or I committed a crime and put it on Facebook, the police would be at our house before we got home. Yet here you have admitted crimes. County sheriffs could go after these people since they committed crimes in their county. Yet nothing happens. And I think a lot of people are in agreement with what you're saying, but have this belief, well, the criminals just keep getting away with it. Nothing's going to happen.
Well, I think that clearly if Hillary couldn't have been elected, that would be the case. This never would have come to light. None of this would have come to light. But the criminals of the deep state, there's Strzok, Page, McCabe, the list goes on all the way through Lynch, possibly Holder, into the White House Valerie Jarrett, I think even Barack Obama. They're all going to be surprised because the records of their crimes, the NSA, the way they set it up, I think, to basically do electronic surveillance on the entire population against the law. That's what Edwin Snowden and what Dennis Montgomery and Julian Assange would have us believe. There's plenty of evidence, and Donald Trump is not going to hesitate to turn the tables around and to make sure justice is served. When this counterattack starts, a lot of people like McCabe, who, by the way, did get his pension. He got his portion of his pension. He did not get the public portion. It's worth about $18 million, I think $11 million. I don't know where he got that kind of net worth. Working for the Justice Department. Maybe his wife helped him out with Terry McAuliffe's, possibly up to $1 million to run in Virginia. But the point is, McCabe needs to be worried more than about his pension. As you can see with his GoFund account to get a legal advice, McCabe knows that the indictment's coming. And McCabe is only one of a legion in this deep state that Donald Trump has targeted and will set about to systematically bring to justice.
Wow. Wow. So when you wrote Killing the Deep State, I mean, was this moving so fast that it was hard to keep up with the book publishing process and the breaking news?
No, I mean, I've known Donald Trump a long time, and I, was able to project out what I believed he was going to do and to outline the strategy that would be effective here in organizing the counterattack. First, we had to get through this Mueller investigation, which I'm maintaining is done. After Ted Malloch, a professor, is detained at the airport, a U.S. citizen, coming in with his wife to celebrate at her family home Easter, and Mueller's thugs pick up Ted Malloch at Boston Airport, detain him, separate him from his wife, grill him, seize his phone, and hand him a subpoena, come to the grand jury. Malloch would have, I know Malloch published his memoirs, he would easily have cooperated. This is thug behavior. This is a bad, Jimmy Cagney or Edward G. Robinson 1930s movie. If Mueller's descended to that level of thuggery, he's done. And he's about to have the tables turned because Trump knows that Mueller and Rosenstein both participated in the cover-up of the Russian bribery scheme that was known before the Committee on Foreign Investment of the United States voted to allow Russia to buy uranium-1.
There you are. So Rosenstein and Mueller are done for. It's just a matter of time to get to them legally.
Mueller covered that up, that bribery scheme. Hillary made $147 million for a foundation on that deal. Mueller's got a net worth.
Now let's look at the money here, $147 million on the uranium deal. Unbelievable.
$18 million. I wonder how much of the uranium-1 payoff was siphoned over to him.
So Obama, Clinton, Mueller, Holder, all could end up in orange jumpsuits for life.
They can all, and then charges could be military tribunals, and they could be actually facing treason charges,
which would result in
serious. The penalties if someone's convicted of treason or capital crimes. Now, whether they would actually face capital penalties, I don't know, but they would certainly face severe consequences if they were found guilty of treason.
What sort of divide would happen in this country? Because today's poll results, Trump is up to 51% approval, so he's just blowing up with his supporters. But on the other side, they are getting more vocal, more militant all the time as well. If this were to go down this way, and Obama has to go to prison, Hillary's in handcuffs as well, would that lead to some sort of civil strife, civil conflict in this country? And we'll get to the answer to that on the other side. So one more segment left, folks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. His latest book, Killing the Deep State, the topic, Donald Trump about to arrest Hillary and Obama and everybody else down the evil chain of command there. But, sir, before the break, I kind of referenced, we are seeing this country more divided than it's been in a really long time. And if this were to go down this way, if there were going to be arrests and military tribunals, would that cause a rift in the general population that could lead to civil unrest?
I'm sure there's going to be many people on the hard left who are not going to like it. But justice is not predicated on public opinion polls.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so I think when Donald Trump is going to look at the issues of what's right or what's wrong, and you understand that there is was a coup d'etat, a criminal coup d'etat organized treasonously within the FBI and the Department of Justice, I don't think you can rest in, the title of my book is Killing the Deep State. And I believe that's what Donald Trump intends to do, is kill this deep state. Make sure that we restore a constitutional government. This whole bureaucracy, as it's grown, is not defined anywhere in the Constitution, and it's become its own shadow government. And I think, as you read my book, you're going to be shocked at the extent to which the intelligence operations, the justice system, the IRS are operating in a political and weaponized way. It's intolerable. And the left may not like it. The left is pretty intolerant on its own these days. It doesn't believe in the First Amendment, doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. Left thinks it controls the NSA, the social media. They're about to find out different. So they were happy to violate the Fourth Amendment. It was just fine for Zuckerberg to collect all this information as long as he was giving it to conservative campaigns. Same with Google.
Yeah.
Eric Schmidt was Hillary's top get-out-the-vote expert. Shifted over all the Google information. Google, Zuckerberg, all these people got their start with CIA funding. Social.
All right, so this is pretty important. The social media funding for the Google and the CIA and the Facebook. Social CIA funding to get that stuff out. That's pretty powerful.
To which the intelligence operations, the justice system, the IRS are operating in a political and weaponized way. It's intolerable. And the left may not like it. The left is pretty intolerant on its own these days. It doesn't believe in the First Amendment, doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. Left thinks it controls the NSA, the social media. They're about to find out different. So they were happy to violate the Fourth Amendment. It was just fine for Zuckerberg to collect all this information as long as he was giving it to conservative campaigns. Same with Google.
Yeah.
Eric Schmidt was Hillary's top get-out-the-vote expert. Shifted over all the Google information. Google, Zuckerberg, all these people got their start with CIA funding. Social media is nothing more than a desktop for the intelligence agencies and a way for us to be conned into volunteering all this information about ourselves.
Yeah.
So, this is coming to an end. And the deep state, which just about pulled it off, just about had destroyed the constitutional republic our founding fathers had bequeathed us for this new world order socialist dream, are done. And Mueller's out of gas. The coup d'etat failed. Now it's Donald Trump's time. And as I point out in Killing the Deep State, this fight to save Trump is going to be won. The book is Donald Trump in the End Wins. And I lay out the game plan. If you really want to understand what's going on behind the scenes, you'll read Killing the Deep State because I lay it out chapter and verse.
Do you think we're going to see the whole house of cards come down? Because you referenced, the IRS, the FBI, but we've seen the EPA weaponized, regulation going after conservatives through that. We've seen it through, obviously, the IRS thing that never led to any sort of indictment, even though it was admitted that they targeted conservative groups. Is that entire system going to crumble?
I believe yes. I believe it's all going to be brought into criminal indictment. And, you're not going to have the same type of, leftist wink-wink, the Constitution's kind of old, we can ignore it, why don't we rewrite it? Donald Trump is serious about this. And he has already suggested that maybe we need more vocational schools and fewer, tuition scholarships to fund these, increasingly hard left anti-U.S. universities.
Yeah.
The America First is a serious agenda, and the people in the United States who want the Constitution restored are about to see, demand the pendulum be swung back in the other direction. Hillary lost. I don't care how many excuses she's got in her excuse tour. She's a criminal.
Yeah.
Obviously excused by Comey when his, public speech was rewritten by McCabe and Strozik. Two are definitely on the list, I believe.
So even this funding for these degree programs could be restricted and cut back, and the vocational funding could be increased. So this is going to cause EPA regulations going to be decreased, IRS, Federal Reserve. It's all over getting our national powers back, our constitutional powers back. This is big, big stuff.
I believe already cooperating, maybe Strozik's cooperating and McCabe is not. McCabe's raising a defense fund. Great, he's going to need more than $500,000. he shouldn't be worried as much about it. And same with Comey. Comey's going to face criminal charges as well. He lied one way or the other. He leaked evidence. He leaked information that was, to his buddy to try to get a special prosecutor. These are crimes. These are not wink-wink. They're wink-wink when Obama's in the job, and the Constitution is considered to be a detail. But I think when President Trump is there, and this was a coup d'état directed against President Trump, President Trump's made it clear the counterattack is beginning, just as seriously as he's sending troops to the border to make sure this Mexican invasion stops. Those who think that Donald Trump is stupid or incompetent better get an explanation for why he beat all those Republican challengers and Hillary Clinton. What's that say about Hillary Clinton if she has to think Donald Trump is so stupid that he beat her?
So what about, a highlight in the elections was when they were having that town hall style debate. Donald said, you'd be in jail to Hillary. His supporters just erupted. After he was elected, he was asked, are you going to go after her for her crimes? Because the FBI admitted that she did violate the law. And he said that she's been through enough. Does that still hold true, or is he going to arrest her too?
Well, Donald Trump is not going to make this personal.
Sure.
And he's not going to personally, he's also said that he'd like to talk to the special counselor. Well, that's fine. If the lawyers agree that he's going to do that, he'll probably do it. If the lawyers don't agree, he's probably not going to do it. He said he wanted to have DACA resolved. Well, the Democrats didn't do that. And so he's now said DACA is dead. Democrats would not come to the table to save DACA.
Yeah.
And, now he said, well, I don't necessarily want to prosecute Hillary Clinton, but if his attorney general or his special prosecutor or the John Huber in Utah proceeds to do an indictment against Hillary, I doubt that President Trump will stand in the way.
Wow. Man, that would be a great day for American justice. I would
what Donald Trump's about. This is a serious Second American Revolution. This is a serious, great awakening of the country to realize that we're not going to be any longer under the thumb of, socialists. And, as I say, I read a whole chapter. Hillary Clinton and John Podesta were taking money. They were virtually on Putin's payroll. I list the offshore accounts to which they were getting millions of dollars siphoned to them, and the organized criminals in the Kremlin working with Putin who were funding them, the bank accounts. Hillary and Podesta sold U.S. military technology to Russia on reset, including this hypersonic technology that Russia used to build this new nuclear weapon we can't shoot down. The whole Uranium One deal, which stinks. And Hillary paid millions. The foundation is a criminal foundation.
Yeah.
Hillary's not going to skate on these issues, and she may not have realized it yet. But there's a new judge in town, there's a new sheriff in town, and these are no longer wink-wink crimes.
Wow. And she'll win the votes of the jury for sure. That'll be the election she ends up winning.
There may not be a jury because, what may be the case is, just as Donald Trump's already signed an emergency declaration. He did that on December 21st when he declared that the Treasury can confiscate the assets of those involved in serious human rights trafficking and corruption. And he declared state of emergency exists. That gives him the power to bring in martial law today. He's revised the military tribunal rules so they're ready to handle civil cases.
Holy cow.
So this is the most powerful statement here by Corsi. He revised these rules December 21st and before, and they can declare the state of emergency and use the military tribunals to get the job done. Don't need to go through a tribunal. Don't need to go through a jury system. He already told the military to bring out the evidence and to have it ready to go, and they have it ready.
Wow. Holy cow. That's intense. Now, obviously, some people are going to push back against the idea of martial law because that was the conspiracy theory under Obama. It was the conspiracy theory under Bush. I remember when Clinton was in office, well, he's going to declare martial law. So that's always been kind of this boogeyman out there. But the other side of that,
well, let me comment on that for a minute because
sure.
you know people are saying that's all conspiracy theory. Well, Donald Trump has just announced he's sending troops to the border.
Yeah.
Okay, now that may not be the declaration of martial law, but it's certainly the first time now that the troops have been suggested they're going to go down there and enforce the border, and maybe not necessarily just in the support of the Border Patrol. Trump has made it clear that this catch and release has got to come.
Look at when this was published, April 2018. Again, April 2018. And this guy's now in a lawsuit against Mueller and his team. Things have changed. It's even smarter than what he has said. Wow, he knew what was going on.
Come to an end. So this may not be martial law, but a president willing to do that looks to me like he's beginning to use the military, not just ending to use the military or necessarily wanting to use it only in this one instance.
Do you have time to keep going?
Actually, I'm up against another scheduled this
had a
time,
feeling.
Josh, and that's all we can do. I'll be happy to come back.
Absolutely. We're going to definitely have to have you come back. So,
all right, this was done in April of the previous year. Interesting.